Andy, and welcome to the Breakeven podcast, and thanks very much for coming today.
No worries, Ian. Thank you.
You're here today to share your experience with gambling and how you now help those affected by problem gambling in the armed forces. Can I start with talking about your role within the armed forces?
So I was a chef by trade, cooking for the army on numerous exercise operations. I reached warrants officer prior to then, which will come on later when I hit the wall with gambling. I served 23 years and left with a good pension. Travelled all over the world and had a great career as a chef.
How did you find your time within the armed forces? Did you enjoy all of it? How did it finish up?
Finished up very differently how I expected to. After hitting the wall through gambling for a few poor errors of judgment. But yeah, I mean, I had a great career where I reached great promotions, and then hit the wall with the gambling and the gambling harm. But it ended well, but not as well as I would like to do.
So how did you get into the gambling?
So gambling was never really in my life prior to joining the armed forces. There were some colleagues in phase 1 and phase 2, whether it be the NAFI, the old days, Navy, Army, Air Force institution, where they'd have them breaks. Not that chefs had a lot of breaks, but you find yourself on fruit machines and football. Kind of like to sociable accepted within the friendship to feel part of it. And then before you know it, it just then escalated into football, roulette, casinos, etc. So very much started in the military.
When do you think you sort of realised it was a problem, and how much do you think you lost? Did you ever admit to how much you lost?
Not really, because I think a gambler only ever talk about his wins, and the losses are always at the far back of the brain. But probably lost way over 20,000 towards 50 at times throughout the career. I knew I had a problem for early on, probably about 2011, where I got a bit of support, but probably didn't want the support because I didn't think the problem was there, and the way you could say my brain was wired and triggered where I believed I was one more win away from being okay. But definitely the biggest problem was 2018 when I really hit the wall there, and then that's when I then started to ask for help then and to get on the recovery process.
Who did you tell initially about your problem? Did you tell your wife? Did you tell any of your friends, or did it sort of come up and hit you in the face?
A bit of both, really. So kind of hit me in the face, as well as me actually reaching out to welfare, because the MOD have welfare support where you can go and speak to them in confidence about some areas, but where some things cannot be held in confidence, because then you've got to own the risk. So I went to the welfare officer because I literally borrowed off a few colleagues. I just paid a bill late, and I just thought then didn't want people talking, because I was a warrant officer and that wasn't the standards of behaviours I expect at the top of the discipline, and I just wanted to make sure then that I asked for help. Welfare officer then didn't want to own the risk on the concern, so then he reported it through his chain of command, and then the Royal Military Police started their investigation.
Is that what you expected when you sort of reached out to get some help and support within the armed forces? Did you think they was going to look after you in a different way to how it turned out, or?
On reflection, which I've done a hell of a lot of reflection since, and especially which led me to Military Corrective Training Centre, I honestly thought that it could have been not held within, but got the right support. I didn't think it would go that fast in terms of to then look at criminal in line with Royal Military Police and to where it was. But to be honest, I think looking at that now in reflection, I'm glad it's gone that way, because I believe things happen for a reason, and I'm the best version of myself I am now.
So how long has it been since you last placed a bet, Andy?
So last time I placed a bet, I would say, so I went into MTTC in 2020, so I'd say about 2019 was the last time I placed a bet, about 5 years.
So that's quite a long time. Well done on that, number one. Do you still have thoughts of gambling? And if you do, how do you overcome them?
So no thoughts of gambling whatsoever. I honestly believe that with the support from yourself and your great team that's been on my road to recovery, and the support that's there for the aftercare, I honestly believe it was the loss of liberty and salary going into MCTC, and actually when you've got to look at yourself and say, is it gambling or is it life? It was certainly life for me, and family life, and live my life. No thoughts, going through the process of more so, which I learned off one of your counsellors, Christine, was about behaviours, which was really great something to me in terms of if that's that day, that trigger, if it be stress, work, need that endorphin, that lift, I would then literally behaviours where the call would have been, look, let's go and put a bet on. It would be then make a phone call, talk, go for a run, go for a walk. So I completely changed my behaviours, my habits, and
that's great. So some of the ways that Breakeven actually engage with you really help, which is nice to hear.
Massive.
Veterans are 10 times more at risk of gambling-related harms than the general public. Why do you think that is?
So, a veteran myself, wear my badge today with great pride. So it's, I think it's coming out of the military. A lot of service personnel at the minute find to take that step into a new process, new team. In the military, it's a very tight-fit team. There's probably some things you could do and that they're kept within the camaraderie, the team. Money problems, even though the great transferable skills that you get within the military, especially now that's recognised, but not always is it recognised by some companies. So it's the uncertainties of money, housing for some service personnel, debt, and if there's any mental health problems, which gambling, alcohol, drugs can be there, it is quite fearful.
So you've really mentioned some salient points there and pointers. How do you think we can identify harms in serving personnel and veterans?
So I think it's a great part of which you've employed me now as part of the Armed Forces Gambling Support Network, which is supporting all service personnel, families and veterans. It's that word out there now and that support around the gambling harm. I think the biggest thing for me is getting the word out there and the support and the stigma that's attached, because a lot of service personnel don't like accepting defeat or being sick or even at mental health because you're called like a liability.
Just tell me a little bit more about that project. It's a project you said within the Armed Forces Network. What are the aims? What is your role? What is it you're going to be doing within that project?
Yes, my role is called the Armed Forces Education Training Lead for Breakeven as part of this bigger project with one of the main partner, Beacon Trust. It's to support all the serving personnel, tri-service. It's geographically between 5 partners, but to give them that gambling harm awareness, if it be for themselves, that's serving, or even their chain of command, so it can be recognised. To me, gambling, especially from my own lived experience, is a very hidden addiction. I was able to hide it very well. We also supported the families, the veterans, and the whole community associated, because any gambler that has had experienced gambling harm, you're talking about 2 to 8, 10 people have been affected. So it's also about looking after the affected others as well.
One of the things I know you're doing within that project is there's something called Battling the Odds. I bet you can help. Who can receive that training? What is that actually?
So the training we offer is a free tier process. We offer a level 1 bet you can help program, like a 90-minute presentation. Then we can do the Battling Odds level 2 course, which is an 8-hour, a 4-day level 2 qualification. And we can just do pitch point presentation, table events like at career fair, health fairs, about making every contact count. Anyone in the military can receive that. Also families, veterans, around the armed forces community really.
So I suppose anybody listening to this, how would they get in touch to partake in some of that training, or just to get a wider knowledge of gambling related harms in the military?
So yeah, if anyone wants that extra support, wants to get in touch, I mean, this is contact with Breakeven online, and then with Ian, the CEO, which you can then signpost to myself, so we can set up that training and support, which then could lead on to further counsel and whatever support's needed for that journey for that individual.
Penultimate question for you. With all what you've been through, all what you've seen both sides of it, do you think more can be done for people with gambling related harms in the armed forces?
100%, massively, yeah. I mean, I'm advocate now to push it and drive it, especially with this Armed Forces Gambling Support Net project. It's the support there that the soldiers sometimes don't want to come out because of the stigma, which I mentioned earlier. If I can change one person's life, then that's what I want to do, and to just get the harm out there, get the awareness about the gambling harm out there, so people are not on their own. There's been a suicide again recently.
That's really sad.
Yeah, so get the awareness out there that you're not on your own. People can talk, you can support each other. Get the word out there and the massive support.
So the more people there are like you, feeding into these sort of projects, getting the awareness out there, will hopefully help them appreciate that gambling related harms can be a big problem within the military just as it is anywhere else.
Yeah, definitely, and especially with the high pressure at times of the military, where I even use that myself as a go-to to release that stress or extra endorphin. The support's there. This project that we're doing and all the other elements that Breakeven can support with, it's there. So if you need that support, reach out, and it's make that difference. Make every contact counts.
Fantastic, Andy. Thanks very much for being so open there and sharing some of your experiences. To finish up with, The Unseen Enemy is a film that you helped record that's going out for plenty of people. There was a premiere in Liverpool in January. They're also going to premiere it in London on February the 27th. And anybody listening to this, how could they attend that if they wanted to do that?
So if you want to attend that, look for the QR code, look for any information on Breakeven, and please come and join us for that, because it'll be a great premiere, just like it was in Liverpool, and let's get the information out there for that wider support.
What exactly is the film about? How did it come about?
So the Unseen Enemy is a film part of the Armed Forces GAMSport project. I'm one of 5 actors, you could say, which is quite good. I've never been active, but one of the 5 that basically talking about our own lived experiences within the military if we were affected serving, and there's also a lady in there that was affected by a husband who was serving. So it's about the armed forces and actually the whole project around what we can do to support.
That should be a really good eye-opener for some people.
Definitely, very good out. I'm really looking forward to seeing it myself again.
Andy, thanks very much for agreeing to come along today. Hopefully people that once they've seen the film will really realise what's going on with gambling-related harm in the military. And thanks for all you've done, and thanks for what you're going to be doing in the future to bring in the awareness of gambling harms into the military. Thanks very much, Andy.
No worries, thank you, and thank you for the opportunity. Thank you very much.
If you or someone you know is affected by gambling related harm, please call us on 01273 833 722 or visit our website www.breakeven.org.uk. Alternatively, please call the National Gambling Helpline on 0808 8020 133. Please ensure to like and subscribe to all our social media channels and keep this message out there. Thank you.